look good, smell great. That's how we get down over here. Let's get it. What's going on, YouTube? What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy Darren. I'm the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. On this channel, we talk about fragrances and we talk a little bit about fashion. So if you love to look good and smell great while doing it, then this is the channel for you, man. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, take another quick second to make sure that you hit the bell icon as well to get notified when I upload new content on the channel. Guys, are you feeling the jacket today? Are you feeling the blazer? This is a 100% linen blazer, of course, from Spear & McKay. I love this jacket. It actually has the pants to go to it. I have the pants as well. Looks really, really nice, man, especially this time of year. Of course, spring, summer, something like this just looks really, really good, and it works well with that kind of fabric out there in the heat. So you can still look good and still be cool at the same time. So I love this jacket. But anyway, man, today we're going to be talking about 10 fragrances in my collection that were absolute love at first sniff. Now, I also have some fragrances in my collection that when I initially smelled them, I wasn't a huge fan, but over the course of time, they really grew on me. But that's not the list that we're talking about today. I'm talking about these are 10 fragrances when I initially smelled it, I was like, yeah, I need to take that home with me today. So I have 10 fragrances in my collection that fit that description, and we're going to be kind of talking about those 10 fragrances today. So if you want to see what made the list, 10 fragrances that were love at first sniff, then you know the routine. Keep it locked right here. All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked, man. Let's go ahead and jump right into this list. So the first fragrance up on the list today, this fragrance comes from the house of Allure, and this one is called Interlude Black Iris. Interlude Black Iris. Now, I was a huge fan of the original Allure Interlude, man, but I will say that it does take, in my opinion, a little bit more of an experienced nose to appreciate the opening of that fragrance with, because it has a very strong, as you probably know by now, oregano note in the opening, and it smells like herbs. Like seriously, it smells like herbs, like smoky herbs, like herbs that you smoke, you know, like the herbs that they're trying to legalize in a lot of different states. Yeah, it smells a lot like that kind of herb. But in this particular scent, the oregano note was removed and they replaced it with orris. So orris is the primary note to my nose in this fragrance in the opening stages of it, which gives it that powdery vibe. Orris, iris, gives it a really, really powdery vibe, but you still have all the other elements that I loved about Interlude, man. You have the smokiness, you have the nice, warm, kind of ambery base. You have oud, there's some vanilla in there, some myrrh. Again, nice, warm, oudy, resinous kind of base. Also leather in there as well to give it some more added depth and warmth to this fragrance. But this thing smells absolutely amazing. My favorite part of Interlude, man, was the dry down when you got to these notes. And again, so you just kind of replace, in my opinion, the oregano with the orris, and that's what you get right here. Love it first sniff for me. So guys, check this one out. Get a sample of this stuff. Winter is right around the corner, and this is something that will be really good to have in your collection. So again, from the house of Allure, this one is called Interlude Black Iris. All right, guys, the next fragrance on this list, this one comes from the house of Carner, Barcelona, and this is called El Born. El Born. So far from all the fragrances that I smell from this house, this is by far my favorite one. I really, really like this fragrance. It has that kind of warm nuttiness that you get, and it comes from the use of vanilla. And I absolutely adore this scent. I've talked before about another fragrance, a designer fragrance that kind of reminds me of this, which is Mercedes-Benz Club Black. They have that same, the Mercedes-Benz Club Black give you the same vibe that you kind of get from El Born. They're not exactly the same, but again, if you wanted to get something on a designer level that would put you in the mindset of this, I would reference that fragrance. But man, this stuff is just Really, really good. If you like a nice, creamy, warm vanilla fragrance, this is one that I highly, highly recommend. So check this one out from the House of Carner, Barcelona. Again, this one is called El Born. All right, guys, the next fragrance on the list, the Extrait de Parfum as well as the original EDP, was love at first sniff for me. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because I've talked about it a lot, but from the House of Maison Francis Kurkdjian, this is Baccarat Rouge 540. Again, this is the Extrait de Parfum. So whether you have this one or you have the the EDP, either one works for me on a list like this, because for me it was just love at first sniff. Now there's been a lot of fragrances that have come along since the release of the original Baccarat Rouge, but they still don't really give you exactly what this gives you. And it's just a very, very unique fragrance when it came out. It's very unique. You got that smoky, kind of burnt, sugary vibe in this fragrance, and it's just an absolutely beautiful scent. When I wear it, it turns heads. And again, it was love at first sniff for me. So if you still haven't put your nose on this, I recommend you get a sample, try it, see if you like it. From the House of MFK, this is Baccarat Rouge 540. All right, guys, the next fragrance on the list, this one comes from the House of Roja Dove, and this is called Sweetie Oud. Sweetie Oud, I talked about this fragrance recently when I talked about my top 10 fragrances from the House of Roja Dove, and this is just it for me. A gourmand lover, this fragrance smells like pastries baking, buttery bread. Need I say more? If you love gourmands, I know, like, if you're like me, your mouth is watering right now. So check this one out from the House of Roja Dove, man. Again, this is called Sweetie Oud. All right, guys, the next fragrance on the list, I made a video a few weeks ago about my top 10 fragrances from Givenchy. At the time, I did not have this in my collection, and I got it like a few days later. Maybe I should have waited, but it definitely would have been in my top 3. But this fragrance comes from the House of Givenchy, and this one is called Rich Wood. This is called Rich Wood. Now, this fragrance is very expensive, so again, I definitely say sample before thinking about investing into this bottle. But man, this stuff is so good. I feel like if I say that another fragrance from Givenchy is complex, that the cliche police is going to come pick me up, but it is what it is. I have to say it. This is an extremely complex fragrance, and it goes through stages, kind of like in a similar fashion that 40 Knots, how it transitions from different stages of this fragrance. The opening is very, very fruity. I think there's some tangerine in here, some bergamot maybe. And then when it starts to transition to the heart, it gets very floral, right? It gets very, very floral. There's a little bit of creaminess that's starting to come into play from sandalwood, but it goes very, very floral in the heart with black currant and rose. And then the dry down, man, you just get this nice, sweet, warm, resinous fragrance. There's musk, there's labdanum, there's sandalwood as well in this. And it's just a beautiful scent, man. Again, this is one for fragrance connoisseurs. If you want another one that could teach a class on fragrance development and quality through and through, check this one out, man. This is one you just need to sample and get your nose on from the House of Givenchy. This is called Rich Wood. All right, guys, the next fragrance on this list, man, this one needs no introduction on this channel. I'm just going to show you the bottle. This is Original Santal from Creed. And I don't care what anybody says about Mont Blanc Individual or any of the other fragrances out there that this fragrance smells like. There is just a level of quality in this that I easily pick up with my nose, and I love this fragrance. This was my first niche purchase, and it's just a fragrance that I love, man. I talk a lot about giving or having a fragrance, enjoying a fragrance that gives you that freshness in the opening and some sensuality when it dries down. I love that sweetness in this fragrance from the cinnamon. You have some lavender in here. Of course, you have the sandalwood. This is just a beautiful scent, man. It will always be in my collection. And for me, it was definitely love at first sniff. So check this one out, man. From the House of Creed, this is my baby right here. This is Original Santal. All right, guys, the next fragrance on the list that was love at first sniff for me comes from the House, again, of Roja Dove, and this is Elysium. Elysium. When I first put my nose on this, it was an absolute winner. It does remind you of Aventus a little bit, but it's not as smoky. You have the pineapple in there, but this one is not quite as heavy. Again, they took that whole birch smoky thing out of it. And I just really, really like this fragrance for what it is. It gets a lot of compliments when I wear it. And it's just such a smooth fragrance, man. So love at first sniff for me, hands down. Check this one out if you get a chance to, if you haven't already. This is definitely a winner in my book. From the House of Roja Dove, this is, of course, Elysium. All right, guys, the next fragrance on the list, I've talked a lot about this fragrance over the past few months, with good reason. I was blown away when I first put my nose on this fragrance from the House of Homme. This is called Diamant. Diamant, certainly in my opinion, one of the most underrated fragrances from Homme. And again, it may be because when people come to this particular fragrance house, they're looking for more complex fragrances, a little bit more with that Middle Eastern flair. And this is a complete departure from that. I mean, there's a little bit of incense in here, but this is more about the plum, the vetiver, and the peony, which of course, for the most part, are notes that you don't really find in other Homme fragrances. But man, this is an absolute beauty right here. I love this stuff. Again, I was blown away when I first put my nose on it. So check this one out from the House of Homme. This is called Diamant. All right, guys, the next fragrance on this list, this one comes from the House of Mancera, and this one is called Black Gold. Black Gold movie stars. Let me tell you about it. Still, never mind. All right, so yeah, so this fragrance right here, man, my wife and I were out shopping. I think we were in Atlanta again, at the mall. I don't remember which store it was, maybe Bloomingdale's, if I'm not mistaken. Just doing some fragrance testing, and I put my nose on this, and I told the sales associate I have to have it. What I love about this, I'll keep it really short, is the combination in the opening of this fragrance that has some of my favorite spices. You have nutmeg as well as cinnamon in the same fragrance, but it's really, really offset, so it's not too spicy because you have a nice, really clean kind of freshness that's provided to the opening of the fragrance from lavender. And I just love that combination. This fragrance really, really works for me. When it dries down, it's a nice woody, musky dry down on this scent right here. But for me, this one really screams like a nice, sophisticated scent from the Mancera house. And of course, that's something that I really look for oftentimes in a fragrance. So again, this is one that was definitely love at first sniff for me. So check it out from the House of Mancera. This one's called Black Gold. All right, guys, and last but not least on this list of fragrances for me that was love at first sniff, this one comes from the House of Parfums de Marly, and this is called Leighton. This is called Leighton. Now, there are several fragrances from Parfums de Marly that could have been love at first sniff for me personally, because there are quite a few that I really, really enjoy on that first sniff. But this is probably one of my favorites. Definitely one of my favorites. A lot of you, of course, at this point in time in your fragrance journey have probably heard about Leighton. But for some reason, if you still haven't put your nose on it, I highly recommend that you put your nose on this fragrance. I love the opening with the apple in here, sandalwood when it dries down, vanilla. It's just a really, really nice, inviting, signature scent worthy fragrance that can be worn pretty much, in my opinion, year round. It just smells absolutely, absolutely amazing when you put your nose on it. Man, check this one out, guys. If you haven't, again, I highly recommend this one. I know it's been out for a while now, but it's one that I always go back to. And again, when I first smelled it, I said to myself, I have to have this one. So check it out from the House of Parfums de Marly. This one is called Leighton. All right, guys, that's it. That's my time. I hope you enjoyed this video, as I gave you 10 fragrances in my collection that was love at first sniff. As always, I appreciate your time and attention to these videos because, of course, you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're right here with me, and I sincerely appreciate that. Now, don't forget to take a few moments to like, comment, and subscribe, and go ahead and share these videos out to some folks that you think could use this information or find me entertaining, because I'm your guy, Darian, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell amazing. So until next time, guys, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.